After a wonderful but short stay in Dubrovnik, Guy and I decided it was time to set sail on our own. Our plan is to island hop north. Since this would be our first real sail, we decided on a short distance so we could return to Dubrovnik if we had to.
Our plan was to sail to Croatia, but since it was a perfect day, we decided to continue to the next island. We were having too much fun and the wind was just perfect. We went through our pre-sail checklist and set off.
Plan B was to head to Mljet Island. We anchored at Sung Bay on the south side of the island, which had a large sandy beach.
The location was great. Unfortunately, the day tripper boats from Dubrovnik were a bit of a nuisance with blaring music. But at night, they all cleared out and it was very peaceful and calm and quiet.
After a couple days, we sailed to Sipon, which was the next island up the chain. We planned on anchoring at Sapanski Luka, but instead anchored to the west in Uvala Veliki Yaklan. Sorry for any pronunciation errors. This sail was about 11 nautical miles from Sung, a small bay which was surrounded by pine forests and this really cool terraced fig orchard. When you look at Google Earth, you have no idea what it is. Hey there!
Captain K is at the helm.
Yes.
Hair blown by unseen winds.
Yeah. I have the makeup artist on here. We were one of 3 boats that spent the night. It was so quiet, we felt like we could really relax. We had time to complete some small jobs and check out our dinghy for the first time to make sure all was in order. There goes Guy, adrift. It works! I think you cut it too early. But it was a good effort.
After spending a couple days with fig trees, we sailed southwest to Saplinara on Mljet.
I stayed at the helm while Guy practiced trimming the sails. Our plan is to get used to one job, then train the other. By the 3rd sail, Guy was getting really good at it.
Thanks, Kay.
Saplinara is a small village for vacationers, and it's very quaint. This place had more of a family vibe and was really pleasant. Do you know where you're going? We were able to get some supplies from a small grocery store and relax.
Today we went back around the southeast point of the island and then headed northwest to Lukopolis, an anchorage within the national park.
It was definitely a crowded anchorage and it's not even high season yet, but it's definitely a good spot to start exploring the national park. There are some big bleep boats in Croatia. We thought that blue boat in front of us was big until we came up to this one. I think his dinghy is almost the same size.
In the morning, we'd planned to hike to the Salt Lakes and take a boat ride to the monastery.
But unexpectedly, and not in the forecast, the winds picked up quickly and were blowing about 18 to 25 knots.
We used our Anchor Watch app and it showed how we kept drifting out of our 60-meter radius.
We decided to head to a better protected bay along with several other boats.
It was pretty tense, and at times the wind speed gusted to 30 knots inside the bay. After trying to reset the anchor 5 additional times, we just couldn't get a good anchor hold, so we took off for a more protected anchorage to the west. As soon as we got around the northwest tip of the island, we could see Pomena, and it was very pleasant inside the bay.
The bay had crystal clear water and was surrounded by a beautiful pine forest. Where we anchored, we can walk the mile into town instead of taking our dinghy. It was a good move, and we are glad we left Lukopolis for Pomena.
Hi, Kay.
Hi, my cheeks match the color of my shirt.
Here's where we're walking. We're in Croatia.
We just went to town.
We're on the island of Mljet, but we did manage to find a bar to sell us a couple beers. So we've got beers.
Which is weird because Guy normally doesn't drink beer at all. Only when he's out of country.
When I'm out of the country, I like dark beer. Whatever. I'm in Europe. I'm drinking dark beer. How are you feeling about this adventure now? Now that you're on the boat.
I'm feeling good. I finally feel like we're doing what we imagined. Not saying that what happened before we got on the boat was any less adventurous. It was more of an internal adventure than it was a on the ground adventure.
Yeah.
For the part of sailing around, learning to sail, visiting places, for sure. This feels really good. And I'm excited.
Yeah?
I'm excited with everything we're learning.
Yeah. What do you think about Croatia, Kay?
I really, really, really like it. I really love the landscape. I love the steep, rocky walls when you come into the bays. It's so cool. It reminds me, I think we've said this to some folks, some friends, that it reminds us of the San Juans a little bit.
Pacific Northwest,
just the
island
chain. Feeling of it. All the forest coming right down to the water and the rocky edges. And yeah, so it's just sort of a hint of San Juan. So Guy.
Yes, Kay.
What have you learned this last week?
I've learned a lot.
What? Name a few things.
We need to update our departure checklist and make sure that we each have assigned things.
Yes.
And that does not deviate ever.
You mean keep the same jobs forever?
Same jobs. Kay, what'd you learn this week?
That we need a better setup at the helm.
Definitely better
More
setup.
clutches.
More clutches, yeah.
Okay.
We're 3 or 4 or 5 or more.
I thought
at least 3.
Yeah.
3 clutches short. Kay, what'd you learn this week?
I think a big one, which was surprising, was that we can sail pretty close hauled in our catamaran.
Yeah.
And that was
really
exciting.
Surprising. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anchoring, we learned how to do a stern tie. Look, a stern tie to the shore, which is, I don't know, you might not think it's a big deal, but for us, getting our boat this close to shore was a big deal.
Yeah.
We're very glad we have our Vesper Watchmate app. That saved us.
It did. I want to plan some stops that don't have as many party boats, if that's even possible.
Yeah,
I'd like
the party boats are party downers.
They're party downers.
Unless you're in the party.
Unless you're in the party, yeah.
Yeah, more?
Yeah. I definitely navigate towards navigating.
Good.
I like planning the routes and the stops.
Yeah.
And,
I have one that I've underlined even more. I love the freedom of sailing. There's no lanes.
Yeah,
like
no
a car.
lane.
There's no roads. You just point the boat wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
I love that freedom.
Thank you again for subscribing, and thanks for watching.
And if you haven't subscribed, click the button. What are you waiting for? Click the button.
We'll see you next time.
On Sailing Blackbird.
Bye.
Is that good enough?
I guess.